It's The Satisfied Life, presented by Lowe's Foods.
On 107.9 The Link.
Good morning. Thanks so much for being with us. This is The Satisfied Life, and you know how we start this show. Good morning, Britt Bandy Boo O'Brien.
Good morning, Ramona.
And Pam Stone.
Hiya.
And Charles Easley.
Good morning.
Welcome back, Professor Locks.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here as always.
We've been checking out your blog, and what got our attention on this Sunday before Election Day is the entry that you called Thoughts from a Gay Man of Faith. And I simply love the way you started it. I struggled with whether I had the energy to address recent news reports, including one here on Q City Metro that discussed the Black church and its response to Amendment 1.
Right.
Not have the energy? I would think that you'd be shouting from the rooftops.
I think what I meant by it seems like whenever we get into a dialogue or a narrative, it's always people kind of like fall back on biblical scripture, and people are not willing to kind of like open up the dialogue to, for me, more of a kind of historical perspective of, you know, our stance on other issues. I mean, we've used religion, you know, to subjugate women in the past, to keep them from voting, to keep Black people as second-class citizens. We're talking about segregation, the military, our schools, public venues, interracial marriage. And so if we look at some point in our evolution, we always had to challenge that doctrine and how we interpreted that doctrine. To me, this is just the next step in that evolution.
Okay, I have something I want each of you to address. Mm-hmm. And I think at this point in our history, it's an important question, which is, how do we decide what parts of the Bible we're going to ignore or bend, and what parts we're going to use and apply?
Right.
Because we can say, well, you know, the Bible was used to do this. It was used to keep women at the pond when they were menstruating back in the day. We don't want to do that anymore. But I know there are a lot of Christians wondering, well, where do we stop interpreting and where do we start applying? Bandy, I'll ask you first.
Oh, that's the toughest question of all time. Do you take the Bible literally? Do you pick and choose the parts that you want to believe in? Do you take it and interpret it in your own way? I know for me personally, I'm a picker and a chooser. And I'm also one of those interpreters. I like to interpret things along with my beliefs and kind of form my own beliefs on what I believe, not necessarily what I'm getting out of church or what they're telling me to vote for or anything like that, especially with a topic like Amendment 1. It's definitely something I want to come from me personally. I don't want it coming from my church. I want my own personal beliefs.
What's your heart telling you?
My heart is telling me, well, first of all, can we explain Amendment 1? Somebody explain that for us, because it is a tricky amendment.
It is, because a couple of my neighbors have yard signs that say, you know, vote against the constitutional amendment. And as I was driving down the street, I had to translate those signs to say, are they for or against gay marriage? Because it's really tricky. Basically, what Amendment 1 would do, if passed, it would ban anything that is not a marriage between a man and a woman, an adult male and an adult female. Right. It would ban it. So if you vote against Amendment 1, you would vote against a ban.
Right. And that I think is a very important distinction that we have to make here, because it's very confusing the way they word it. So I'm voting no.
The other thing we have to kind of point out is that there's a caveat in there that's kind of like hidden, that it also bans what has historically been established as civil unions. And this, as they interpret it, this does not only just apply to gay folks. This is also, you know, common law marriages, those sort of things. So this has other implications outside the gay community.
So, Pam, where do you stand? You know, are you picking and choosing and saying, well, you know, I know there's some stuff in the Bible that's pretty anti-gay, but...
No, there's not. I'm right up there with Charles. I I become frustrated with people that ignore the historical perspective from when the Bible was written and what was going on in the culture at the time. Homosexuality is such a huge thing for a lot of fundamental Christians. If it's such a huge deal, why is it that Christ never discusses it? I mean, it is such, I think in all of the New Testament, homosexuality is mentioned maybe 3 times. Right. Whereas if you look at charity, the word charity and giving and helping and loving, it's countless. It's so many times. Right. I think it's, I believe Sharon actually spoke about this. We had on one episode of The Satisfied Life that what Paul was talking about it being an abomination to God. If you look again at the historical context of what Paul was talking about these places where young boys were kept as slaves, sexual slaves, to pleasure these men. And that's what Paul was railing about. Paul was railing about, you're keeping these young boys to service these men. It's disgusting. It's an abomination. I think anyone would agree with that. But he was not discussing a monogamous, loving relationship. And even Christ speaks in the Bible of when he's being asked, should people be free to marry and who shouldn't marry? He says something, and it sounds very metaphorical to me. And he says, I tell you, there are some men that cannot marry. And those are men that are turned into eunuchs during their life, and some men are born eunuchs. And I'm thinking, so what do you mean? Some men are born castrated, or are you saying
and some
it's
of us
metaphorically that men cannot function with women? That these. So I just think. I think anything that comes from love, and are people trying to tell me that millions of people around the world should never have the right to fall deeply in love? I think so many people get caught up on the sexuality part of it, and they freak out because it frightens them and it grosses them out, instead of just embracing that 2 human beings love each other deeply and want to spend the rest of their life together. And isn't that what so many Christians are screaming about when they point fingers at homosexuality? They're talking about, they're so promiscuous and gay bathhouses. Don't you want everyone to have the right just to have responsible, loving, monogamous lives?
Now, Charles, as an out gay man, who's also a Christian, who's also black, do you feel like you've seen the least support from the Christian community?
The trifecta.
Yeah, I've gotten probably better support in the women's section of the bra and panty section. I mean, there's just...
I haven't sat in that section in church.
Is that in the back or the front, or where the back where the coffers are? I don't know.
Totally ignored. It's like we've talked about, for me, it's just very frustrating for somebody who's almost like a minority within a minority. It's, you try to kind of walk in your own truth. You try to be who you are, but again, having grown up in the church and trying to reconcile your sexuality with what you've been taught, for me, it's very disheartening, because I see so many people, friends, myself included, who've had to kind of leave that kind of traditional church just for self-preservation's sake. I mean, there's just so many, Sundays you can hear that you're abomination. I mean, this is not very, good self-esteem stuff here.
Well, there are some religious leaders who have come out in support of the amendment. Some religious and political leaders. Mitt Romney recently said he supports the amendment, would like people to vote for it, which would mean marriage of gays would be banned. And there are some religious leaders who say, let's vote against it.
Right. I was having a conversation when I called my Pink Posse, my 3 gay brethren that I work with, and all of us.
That's a problem right there for a lot of people.
And all of us are around. They're a little older. All of us are but around the same age. And when I look at us, all of us have, my partner and I have been together for 16 years. My other friend, his partner and he have been together for close to 20 years, another one for close to 10. So when I look at, we've established and committed these relationships without any kind of acknowledgement. But when it comes down to it, we still just want the same basic civil liberties as anyone else. And I think one of the things that we get caught up on is semantics. I think most gay people would be fine with civil unions. It really, when we look at, again, the history of the gay rights movement, it really was at some point the gay leaders decided that already we wanted to push this gay marriage agenda, and all of a sudden this kind of like sparked a lot of the controversy. It really is about just legally being protected so that, you can be as happy and as miserable as any couple, and just make sure that, what you had basically collected and accrued together, you would be able to keep. And, that's just really what it comes down to. It's just making sure that you and your family are going to be safe and taken care of.
Okay, we're going to have I'm sorry, Pam?
Sorry. And also, should your partner be in a car crash where you would be allowed to visit him in hospital as his nearest?
And I lived through that. My partner, last year was suffering, seizures, and I was called and they said that, he had fell out, and I went to the hospital, and, there was this very awkward and scary moment where, because first of all, we're interracial, so I couldn't even pass up the fact that I'm his brother or anything like that. So they're like, you're right. But there was this very awkward moment, and the only way I was able to get back there was this very, sensitive nurse who said, if this is your partner, you need to be back there. But, she could have exercised her right in the legal system that I would have had to wait for his mother, who was in Lancaster, and that would have been, a 2-hour wait. And so it comes down to those just basic, privileges that most people just take for granted.
Well, we are going to put a link to Charles's blog, Thoughts from a Gay Man of Faith. We're going to put a link to that on our website, thesatisfiedlifenetwork.com. Also, a new survey on support for banning gay marriage and where we stand right now before Election Day. We're going to put a link to that on thesatisfiedlifenetwork.com as well. And you can find us on Facebook, too. Charles, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. I love talking to you. I'm just glad you spent some time on this, I think, very important topic.
Thank you.
Oh, you bet.
Coming up, what's going to make you stand out at that job interview? We'll tell you next here on The Satisfied Life.